right, guys, hello and welcome to the Cry About It podcast, your podcast for all of the sad music that makes us so happy. My guest this week is Neil Rubenstein. And Neil, could you introduce yourself to the people a little bit?
Hi, I'm Neil Rubenstein. I'm a professional comedian from Long Island, New York, and I spent many years working with in the music industry, which is how I know Joe. Yeah, it's funny that your pod is called Cry About It because I do a mental health podcast where me and my buddy literally just cry.
That's awesome.
It's just about depression, and we just bawl grown men crying the whole time.
So that's awesome. So guys, if you're listening right now, hit that subscribe button or whatever platform you're listening on, like it, follow it, whatever it is. And Neil, if people want to check more of your stuff out, because like you said, you're a hilarious. Well, I'm saying you're a hilarious dude. But what are some of the socials that they can find you at?
Neil Rubenstein on Instagram. It's Neil Rubenstein on TikTok, and Neil Rubenstein Comedy on Facebook and YouTube. Different stuff on all the I try to cater to the platform. So
I saw you had a TikTok blow up, right?
yeah, my TikTok's doing really well. Yeah, I had a couple videos go like pretty viral, and then one like through the roof, like 2.5 million.
That's awesome. That's what I saw, like CNN one.
Yeah,
that's awesome. That was hilarious.
Yeah. And I had a YouTube video blow up too at about 3 million now too. So
that's great.
I've been fortunate. This as horrible as the pandemic has been, I feel like I've made the most of it personally.
That's the most any of us can ask for, right?
Yeah. So
as Neil mentioned, we know each other from the music industry going back many moons. It comes up once in a while in here. I used to own a venue called Eleanor Rigby's. And at the time, Neil was running. It was like a booking and kind of management agency, maybe, or
yeah, it was just like a bespoke booking agency. We're just helping out as best we can in any manner. Because, sometimes I feel like I'm grandpa emo, So,
right.
Just with the connections I've made through the years from touring and stuff, we just would like nurture some younger bands and without the intention of like making them big within, just getting them to a point where they could go to a bigger place and thrive.
Right. And right before this, we were recapping some of the shows that we had done together and some of the bands. One of my all-time favorite bands, and I think one of the most underrated bands that come out of like that early 2000s scene, The Sleeping. We did a couple of shows together with them. I loved that band. I loved all those guys. They were always awesome to work with. And then John Nolan, we did from Taking Back Sunday, and we did.
I was just talking about that because I was just on the Taking Back Sunday podcast.
Oh, that's awesome.
And we were just talking about that year, like the year and a half that I booked John. It was right before he rejoined Taking Back Sunday, and it was during a Straylight Run reunion.
Yes.
So he was on tour like something like 500 of 550 days.
Wow.
It was just like, because he just went straight from one thing to the next. He's if anyone's an example of just being a trooper, like he is a road dog.
Yeah, that's wild. And then we also John's sister Michele. I think we did like something with Michele Nolan, and then we also did Destry.
Yeah.
Which people in Scranton still talk about that show. Like I'll get like just random like, I call them kids, but now they're grown adults that like have families and stuff. But like the Rigby's kids, like real randomly, that'll be the show, especially among like younger girls in the scene at that time. Will bring that up to me a lot. That they're like because I think we did them twice, and they'll be like that show. Like they were just so amazing, and they were great.
I feel like women were like really underrepresented in the emo scene in the early, like in the mid, I guess what is it? I don't know what that's called. Early aughts.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. That doesn't really.
I don't either. I don't know. Now I think it's totally now like you can't throw a dart without hitting like an amazing band with female representation. But back then I feel like it was really underrepresented. And so like Michele kind of like became an icon, to a lot of people just by being Michelle, like just by,
Right.
not, you know, no fanfare, just, um,
100%. I
yeah.
agree. And just pure talent. Like I
Oh,
remember
it's unbelievable. The
not knowing like
Nolans,
yeah,
that
exactly.
family is ridiculous.
They're
Even
royalty.
the parents are like talent, like the
Really?
whole, yeah. And like, I don't know if you saw, like, I don't know if you follow John on like Instagram and stuff, but like even his kids,
Oh my
like
gosh, yeah.
playing piano, was like, come on, man, get out of here.
Yeah, in the
Crazy.
early stages of the pandemic when like I think we were all still just trying to figure out like especially like those of us who go to shows and like that was such a big part of our life trying to figure out what the hell we were going to do and the Instagram live shows were really popping off.
Yeah,
It was like Adam and John were like, I don't know if they were
yeah.
quarantined together or whatever, but they were doing those Instagram lives with the kids. My wife and I, because our son was just kind of like starting to walk and stuff at that point, and we would put it on, and it was just like really cool to see that side of somebody that like I grew up with. But then, like you said, their kids coming in and playing the piano with
Yeah.
them, and it was just really neat to see that. So
Yeah, that's a very talented fam. That's an outrageously talented family, and the work ethic is ridiculous. And they're just sweet people. Like there's just,
yeah.
it's kind of sickening. It's disgusting.
Well, that's they always say, and I found it to be true a lot. The whole "don't meet your idols" type of thing. So
Oh no, that's,
not
yeah.
with him though. Like he was
No.
like I remember being physically like I was never nervous, right? Like
Uh,
you do so many shows, you don't get nervous to meet bands anymore. But like that
yeah.
was like this was like my first band that I loved, and like John Nolan's coming to play at our venue. Like I want everything to be perfect. Like I think I made the poor kid that like cleaned up like scrubbed the floor of a rock venue the night before, and like he was just a regular guy. He just walked in, super cool, like just hung out and like hung out before the show, after the show, had some like pizza and like and water. Like he was just a normal guy, and that was
Yeah,
like
just, yeah.
really awesome experience.
Had you ever, have you ever been starstruck?
Starstruck.
Yeah.
Yes. So only again like of an original band, the only person I could say like true starstruck twice. Only once by a band. The band would be Andrew McMahon from Something Corporate
Okay.
and Jack's Mannequin, right? Like that's just
All
like
right.
that's like what got me into music as a whole. Like where I was like I always listened to music, but I never understood like there were these shows going on and everything until I heard a Something Corporate record, got me into it. And then Anthony Bourdain. Like
Oh, you met Anthony Bourdain?
I met Anthony Bourdain in Hershey, Pennsylvania, actually. Like in like in my boots, like just like in awe of like but again, amazing like he was just cool as
Yeah.
hell. Like he was just like, hey, I like your shirt. Like super cool dude.
Hmm.
It was like that's the only person I've ever asked for a picture is Anthony Bourdain. Like, I got a picture with him. Like I just like by rule don't do that.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
I'm the same. I'm
yeah.
just, I don't even, I don't know. I have like a pretty, I don't, I generally don't believe in celebrity,
Mhm.
but I think Anthony Bourdain, yeah, that might do it.
That was
That
like
might do it.
that was like my college like life. Like my buddies and I would just like, you had your vices and then you'd sit on the couch and watch like No Reservation and like come to these profound like realizations of like Bourdain's being such a dick, and then he's so humbled by the end of the episode. Like
Yeah,
he was just such an amazing dynamic character that
yeah.
then later in life meeting him in just like a small Pennsylvania town, and he was like just drinking a local beer, hanging out, and it was like, whoa, like kind of
I
stopped in your tracks a little bit with that.
I felt like I mean, I don't want to say a kinship because that's like a,
Mhm.
obviously not, but I felt like he's one of us.
Right,
Like he comes from punk backgrounds. He's an LES kid. He hung out in the city at CB's. Like I feel like I feel like I know him. You know what
right.
I mean? I don't know. He's a that's an interesting one.
I've read so many essays and stuff about like how like his death affected people so much on such a greater scale than like most celebrity quote unquote does, right?
So I've talked about this on my pod because like we talk about mental health and depression and this terminal thoughts. I always feel like I've always felt like his suicide, and this is going to sound crazy and people get upset. His suicide to me was like a celebratory suicide.
Okay.
Like he had achieved so much. He had done everything he could do. He just got to a point where it's like, I don't need to be here anymore. And I think if you suffer from depression, you understand that.
Okay.
And I feel like a lot of people are like, what are you talking about? You're being a jerk. But I think if you understand that thought, I don't know. To me, it's just because if he's miserable and has to end it, then there's no hope for anybody. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
he's got the life, and like to think of him as, I don't know. To me, it just seems celebratory. It just seemed like what's left, you
So
know?
yeah, no, and that's like you said, like I've never thought of it from that perspective because, like you said, like I just don't like I don't have the background. I don't know the correct word for that, right? Like I don't the experience. I don't know exactly.
I mean,
I don't suffer from depression, so I've
yeah,
never been in
okay.
that. I've never been in that. I've never been in that mind state to have to have that perspective on it, right?
I feel
Uh,
like I talk to so many people who struggle with depression that when I meet someone who hasn't had terminal thoughts, I'm like, really? What's that like?
right. Which is, I
They're
mean,
like, never ever?
right. So I wasn't aware that you do a podcast on mental health.
Yeah.
So what's the name of that podcast? I think a lot of
D-
our audience could cross over to that, and I
yeah,
would love for them to be able to check it out.
it's called Does It Get Better?
Does it get better? Okay.
Yeah. And then my co-host is very optimistic, and I'm like, it doesn't. And then he's like,
Okay.
no.
Right. No,
I'm like,
that's
no. We're gonna end it one day.
so a lot of this podcast was kind of born of we do I do an emo night, right? And
Oh
it's
yeah,
kind of grown over the last couple of years in Pennsylvania and surrounding areas where we've grown to a pretty big draw. And we started getting a lot of messages about like at the year point of this of like a lot of people just like this was something that we used for mental health and things of that nature.
yeah,
That there was a community and a lot of them have found people that they're akin to and support systems through the people who go there, who they've developed friendships or relationships with. So that's why I think maybe that they could find like the crossover section might be good for your podcast as well. So I'd love
yeah.
for them to check it out.
I mean, we started it because like hearing people talk about their struggles does help you cope with your struggles.
Right,
Like knowing that you're not alone, and it's also we're two bigger, tattooed, hardcore men,
right,
and so like I feel like to see us get emotional, like it gives permission to
right.
someone who someone who looks like me who's been dealing with toxic masculinity their whole life to be like, oh no, it's cool to cry. And like we've only had one guest so far, but it was the dude from Daughters, Lex.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And like he's like a big proponent of crying.
Okay,
and
cool.
like his showmanship was born out of self-harm, and it was just like it was just good to like it's just good to talk that stuff out. And I hope it helps people,
I mean,
even if
especially
it's two people.
yeah. Well, especially I mean, we're also isolated at this point to an
Yeah,
extent. Things are different everywhere across the country
yeah,
at this point, but I mean, outlets are so important, I think, and for people who relied on, if their outlet was going to a punk rock show or whatever it is, they're now seeking out other outlets for that. And like you said, if they can, see that in you and relate, like, if if my wife was doing a podcast and she was talking about mental health, it might be hard for that, dude from a hardcore band to relate to that. So I
right.
think that you definitely break down that stigma, and that's awesome.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
we try a little bit. I was just I had broken my leg right around Thanksgiving,
okay,
and I just it just put me in such a low, like one of the worst holes I've been in my life. There were like two or three moments in my life where I was just like at the bottom, and this was definitely one of them. And my buddy Rich who I love. I've been friends with him since we were children. And he was like, listen, man, I just went through the same thing. If you need to talk, we can talk. And I'm a public person. And I started like journaling a little bit on Facebook.
Okay.
And a woman who runs like a podcast network was like, hey, the thing you're doing right now, I would love to hear it as a podcast. I think it would help
That's awesome.
people. And so I spoke to Rich. I was like, listen, I'm going to call you once a week to cry to you anyway.
Right.
Do
That's
you want to
awesome.
throw it on the internet and
Yeah.
see if keep someone else from killing themselves?
What a great story though, right? Like that's
Yeah,
shows
yeah.
you never know where opportunity is going to come from. So that's
I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't want to, I
important.
don't like to, it's, yeah,
Not
I don't want to,
opportunity, but
yeah,
where
yeah.
the next outlet, for example, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that would
Yeah.
be like, I want to get rich off of people
Oh
wanting
no
to
no
kill
no no yeah
themselves.
yeah 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 no I didn't mean it by that no I didn't mean it that way but no
Yeah.
that's really neat and I hope everybody what one more time what's the name of it so they can search
Does it get better?
does it get better and it's available on all major
It's just,
outlets
yeah, Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, and
awesome
Anchor, and
very cool
all the things. It's audio only, but
right so everybody go check that out nobody watches the video one anyway they all just, like I put this up on YouTube for the 50 people that want it but they all just listen to it on Spotify and everything anyway so
yeah, I think
nobody
people.
wants to see my mug constantly on grainy Zoom. But so pivoting a little bit to music, right? You guys could probably see these two records behind me here that I awkwardly put up to cover up the fish tank. But Neil kind of came up in the Long Island. I don't want to call it emo scene, right? It was just a music scene at that point, right? Because there was a little bit of everything going on there.
Well,
But
I mean, it started. It was just a hardcore scene,
right,
and then the Long Island hardcore sound quickly morphed into this like melodic poppy or punk thing.
mhm,
And I mean, look, you got to give Eddie Reyes probably all the credit in the world for what emo ended up sounding like. Uh, like I don't know, I don't know if it happens the way it happens without him. I mean,
right,
you know, Clockwise, and then Inside, and then Movie Life, and Taking Back Sunday, and I mean, those are four of
right,
the big five. You know what I mean? Like I don't know.
100%.
And then it just happened. You know what I mean? It just started taking shape, and it became this like, yeah, it became this bigger thing. We all felt like we were the next Seattle. I don't know. It was like a weird,
I think we
like,
all felt like that for you. So like
yeah,
I'm a kid, like I'm not far removed from it geographically, right? So I grew up in Scranton. So
okay.
3 hour drive to the city. Or I mean an hour and a half drive to New York City. That's where the
And we'd
boat
all
is, right?
play like Scranton and Wilkes-Barre all the time
Exactly.
because it's a 3 hour drive. It's just
Right.
New Haven, Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, and Newark, Delaware.
Right.
Those were the
Exactly. 100%.
that's where we could go.
So we always looked at that like, and it might be just people of my age, like we're talking pre-internet, right? So like, there's the lores,
Right
and
at the
there's
beginning,
right,
right
yep,
at the cusp, the
right.
turn
So
of the
exactly. So I'm talking like the movie life type of deal, right? But pre
yeah.
like, so I'm downloading songs on Napster, hoping that I actually get what I download, and it's not just like somebody screaming curse words at me or something, or and we always fan it like had this amazing idea of like what the Long Island scene was, right? Like everybody lived on the same street and they were playing these like all the bands had houses and they were playing these basement
Yeah.
shows and like there was this amazing like that's just like what we had developed in our head, right? And so that was just like again, wherever you're from, you never look at it the same way. But then like right down the road in Wilkes-Barre, there was amazing stuff going on with the Wisdom and Chains guys and the Strength for a Reason and all those guys in the hardcore music. But we never like, noticed that. Was it like that? Like, did you guys realize that something big was happening, or was it just like we're here and we're living our lives and it's like happening around us?
Yeah, we did because we had seen it already. So
Mhm.
like in the late 90s VOD,
Right.
I mean uh, they transcended hardcore.
Right.
And a lot of the hardcore bands got big around that. Like Earth Crisis got really big, and Converge started to get really big, and Hatebreed, and like all these like hardcore bands were getting big. And Orange 9mm signed to a major, and Quicksand was huge, and Deftones was a hardcore band, and it was just like Into Another, and Seaweed blew up, and so like all these like heavier bands were getting signed to major labels, and you started seeing it. You started like going to shows, and it would be like what used to be a hardcore show with like 50 kids in a basement, and then like before you know it, there's like 500 kids, and then before you know it, it's like we're selling out warehouses,
Right.
and it's like, oh, okay, there's something going on here. So in the early 2000s, when it kind of like, or I guess it was like 99, 2000, 2001, when it started to like bubble again, we were like, oh, it's happening again. Like,
Okay.
but this time it happened in a broader level, a broader way, and a bigger thing happened. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, because that first wave, it wasn't Long Island. It was hard. It was heavy music. It was
Right.
hardcore, punk rock. And then when it happened to just Long Island, it was like, oh, okay, like,
Right.
so like I always say, because I'll see comedians now where like I'll get that same kind of feeling where like uh Taking Back Sunday would play a bar to 30 people, and then a week or 2 weeks later it would be the same size venue, but it'd be packed, and there'd be people outside watching, and like people on top of shell, like, and it's like, oh, something's happening right now. Like, we're
Right.
in the middle of a thing. This is a thing. I remember this year's model, Taking Back Sunday, maybe Era Type 11, and At the Drive-In played at a bowling alley that Dubin set up.
Oh wow.
And I mean, people were like, the gap between the lockers and the ceiling, people were laying on the lockers to get a better view.
Oh
Like, it was
wow. Yeah.
it was insane. And it was like, oh, something's something's afoot. Like,
It's happening. Right.
what's
Right.
happening?
Right.
And I see it sometimes too with some comedians, like my friend Ian Lara, like right before he started getting like Fallon and all this like HBO stuff. It would be like we would do a show at a bar and it would be like 20 people, and then we'd do a show somewhere and it'd be like 150 people and a bunch of industry folk, and all the comics were paying attention, and you're like, oh, he's about to get famous. I've
Right.
seen this before. I've been here. I've seen this
Right.
movie. This is great. Good for you, Ian.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So we definitely saw it.
Right.
I'm gonna say Dubin. You know Mike Dubin? You gotta know, right?
I know. So like I don't know him personally. I know the name. We've like traded emails before, but not
Uh,
like in a personal. Like we're not
well,
Facebook friends.
I mean, he's the best.
Yeah.
He's a very good dude. Um, but he called it with Brand New. Like, he was like, this is gonna be the biggest band in the world. Like this, and they could have been if they didn't, be the most reclusive band, and
Right.
also,
The other
the
stuff.
stuff
Yeah.
that came to light
Yeah.
later. But
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that didn't preclude them from being big like that.
No,
They were
that
already,
came out years later. Yeah.
yeah. That's a whole other
Yeah.
ball of
Yeah.
yarn.
Yeah. We don't need to unpack that.
Yeah, that's
but
a lot to unpack.
but yeah, that was like so we saw it on a smaller scale, right? In Scranton, like all of a sudden it seemed like every record label just wanted a Scranton or Wilkes-Barre band like on their roster, right? So like the Menzingers blew up, and then Title Fight blew up, and then Tiger's Jaw blew up, and then it was just like there's a ton of bands that like got signed and got picked up out of there that had they had a little run, but it was like that sound that everybody was going for a little while, and we saw it on a much smaller scale because it was like internet music then, right?
Yeah.
There wasn't the big label backing, but I always like growing up, that was like in my head on any given night, you could walk down a street in Long Island and see like the Movie Life in a Basement or Thursday or like all these all these different bands kind of like playing around like, and that's just like probably what AP at the time I had to read magazines and hear stories, or like there was like a scene lore, like
Yeah, I mean,
there's like invented stories about like all of the scene drama and all that stuff that we all lived through in our high school years, right?
we definitely. I mean, there was definitely like um hangs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we'd all go to, Randy Nichols. He
Yes.
manages Starting Line and
Yep.
Bayside now. Um, we'd all hang out at his place. Michelle, I think, lived with him for a little while, and uh, you know, uh, I broke vegetarianism with John Nolan in that house, and like there was a big blackout, and they had power, so like everyone was, and then the Taking Back Sunday kids had a house. It was John Nolan, Eddie, Adam, and this girl Jody Stone, who we're all still super good friends with. And that was a hang. Like we just hang, and Eddie would like lock himself in his room and then get mad that we like took his sneaker. Like he was
Yeah. Yeah.
just like weird, like And it was
Yeah.
just like so. I mean, it wasn't like it wasn't as that's not so far fetched. Like we
Right.
were all hanging out
Yeah.
a lot. We're
Right.
just all friends from the scene, and like no one, no one. Yeah, it was just
Right.
cool.
And
Go to go to Fridays or Chili's after a show and just
right.
you know
That's
do
cool.
scene kids do
Yeah.
scene
Yeah.
kid
Exactly.
shit.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I read an article at one point, or maybe I'm inventing this in my head, I don't know, where you kind of talked about, I think it was an interview with you, and you spoke about like poetry of the Long Island scene at that time, and how like lyrics were borrowed or like interweaving between different bands and stuff like
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Is
So
that
we
am I
called
am
it.
I am I inventing this in my head, or
No, it's close. Yeah.
okay?
We just called it the Long Island Band Pool.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of like collaboration,
Hmm.
and I'd write some lyric, and I was like, that's too emo for me. Like I'm not. And then like I'd hear like Adam play a riff and sing a line, and I'm like, oh, I'm like, yo, I'm like, I just take this, put that there, this goes there, and
Right.
he'd be like, oh, that's sick, whatever. And then you know maybe Jesse would take something, or we'd take something from Jesse, and then like I had Jesse on our demo singing someone else's lyric. Like it was just like we'd all just do whatever. And like I think I'm on the Taking Back Sunday record singing a brand new lyric.
Right.
Like
That's where I was kind of going with
yeah.
it. Like
So we were just I mean it was just like we didn't know what was gonna happen. We didn't,
right.
we're just punk rock kids like doing
Right.
punk rock silliness. Like,
Mhm.
like, oh, it's an inside joke no one's gonna ever hear.
Right. So
And then like 10, 20 years later, I'll get interviewed by AP like, oh, tell us about this joke you made in
right.
2001. Like, oh.
Yeah. So I mean, this was right when we were like working together on a bunch of shows, right? The Taking Back Sunday reunion at Bamboozle. It was like the first time the lineup was back together, and I did not ever know that you were on the Taking Back Sunday album, right?
Yeah.
Like I didn't know you were like I just didn't know that story. It just like
Yeah.
somehow never
Yeah.
crossed my consciousness. I remember being
Because there's no liner notes anymore.
right. Well, that's
No
like
one.
for me it was the
Yeah.
internet, right? I never
Yeah.
like this is still in cellophane.
Yeah.
But so I remember being at Bamboozle, and I had a bunch of meetings like during the day or whatever, and then but I was there to see that taking like I had never seen the original Taking Back Sunday lineup
Right.
live, right? Had missed it or
I mean, it was only together.
right, exactly. So
One
missed it. Like
album cycle.
right. I had always seen the Fred
Yeah.
version at that point.
Yeah.
So remember getting like it was me and my best friend at the time and my now wife, and she loves Taking Back Sunday as well, and we like pushed right up to the front, right? And she all of a sudden was gone, and like it was like a conscious decision I made, like, well, she's gone, like sorry, right? And I just remember that like I mean, at any outdoor venue, right? It just sounds like shit once you get so far back, right?
Yeah.
She
Sure.
claims she didn't hear a word of any song. I
Yeah.
was in
Sure.
the sweet spot, right in the middle by the soundboard. I heard every word. But I remember standing there, and they brought you out to do a couple songs with them, right?
Yeah.
And I remember like hearing the name and then looking up. I was like, I fucking know that guy. And it was like just a really cool
Uh,
moment for me because then like I think like at the time I think I had a BlackBerry. Like I don't think iPhones were even like really that big of a thing yet. And I like had to hop on the internet, and that's the first time I ever realized that was you on the songs recorded on the album version, right?
yeah. Yeah. I'm on the first two albums, but I'm like mixed out on the second album. I know I'm on the song that was on the Spider-Man soundtrack, and
Okay,
I know I'm mixed out of the version on the Spider-Man soundtrack, but I'm not sure if I'm mixed out on the version on the album. But I'm definitely on that album, and I'm definitely on the first album, and you hear me on the first album. And I've never done the parts live from the second album. It just didn't feel right, like because I was never boys with Fred, and
right,
not I nothing to get like I don't have beef with him. I
right.
just
Just didn't know him.
John was my guy, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I just gravitated over there until until they made amends. Yeah. But yeah, they're so kind to me. Mark especially like would make me come do like, you know, he would just be like, "No, you have to do the part. You're here, you have to do the parts. You're here,
Right.
you have to." And he really made me feel special the whole time. Uh and yeah. And like I don't know if like I don't know if like the Tell Your Friends 10 tour and then like this like last like the holiday shows and stuff like I don't know if and the album tour I don't know if I would have felt as comfortable doing those shows with them had Mark not pressured me the whole existence of the band.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
they're very good guys. They're very cool people. They're really welcoming and warm, and they treat me like I'm a family member, and it's uh yeah, they're the best guys to top notch across the board.
That's awesome. Yeah, you sounded great at Bamboozle from what I remember, right? Like,
Yeah, I'm a pretty good screamer. Yeah, I'm all
yeah,
right.
it sounded awesome. But yeah,
All right.
I just remember being like going to my buddy. I was like, I know that guy. He's like, no, you don't. I was like, no,
Yeah,
I really do. Like, I just did a show with him like last week. Like, it was pretty neat. So
yeah.
that was like kind of my maybe that there you go. That's when I was starstruck. That was one
No,
of the things. I
yeah,
was like,
right.
oh, look at this guy up here.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Yeah.
But
uh,
and then I guess to my right, like I said, I just did a I tried to do a little bit of research since we took this on today as the podcast. I never knew there was any real connection to Brand New until I started diving into a couple articles. What like as far as like that was just like you just knew them, collaborated, worked with
yeah,
them at all, or
just friends for the most part. I mean, mostly Brian Lane, the
yeah,
drummer. Just he's always. I mean, nothing. Vin and Garrett are always very cool guys.
mm,
But we just never really, we weren't tight at all. Not that I was tight with Brian, but uh, Brian recorded a bunch of our demos.
cool,
Jesse sang on an album. I uh, I helped. Vin's brother was in a band called Robbers,
okay.
and they were around right around when we were booking shows together.
Say I vaguely remember that name.
They
It's
might have.
possible
I
we.
I might have helped them out with some bookings. I maybe not. Maybe I just was like courting them a little bit, but
Mhm.
um, I think they feel like I want to say they did some dates with Harvard, but
That's very possible because we had Harvard a couple times.
could be
I like
wrong.
that band a lot.
I know Harvard came out there with John,
Yep,
and I know Gabriel the Marine went out there with John.
I loved Gabriel the Marine so much. Love that band.
Dude,
I
that's like they're on the Mount Rushmore of why didn't this get big? Like I just mismanaged. That is
I
just such a shame. They were 17-year-old kids playing the most complex, awesome pop and just just didn't.
I
People were giving them the worst advice. They were taking the worst advice from people.
I pushed that band onto anybody that would listen. I was
Oh
just
my
like, you
god, that
got to
band
check
was
this
so.
out. Like, they're so good.
That
They're
band was
so
so
good.
good.
They were awesome.
Uh, that band to me, you know how like people like date a girl, and then like that girl goes on to be like a supermodel, and they're like,
Yeah.
I used to date that girl.
Yeah.
Dude, that's Gabriel Loreen to me, man. Like that band, I was just like, God, I used to work with that band. Man,
Mhm.
what a bum out.
Yep.
We should be talking about that band like they should be Muse right now. You know what I
Agreed.
mean? Where we're
100%.
like, where we're like, yeah, man, and then they just got huge and like, they don't return my calls anymore.
Right. Yeah.
uh, man, that
I
hurts.
thought they were going to be the next big one because
Oh,
they were that good. And like you said, young. And it was like,
oh,
well, they have time. They have
oh
time.
my God. Like if they were writing that stuff at 17, like I was like, this is gonna be the sickest, maybe the sickest band in the world.
Mhm. They had the look, the
Oh,
like they had the graphics, they had the whole package. Yeah.
Michael Desmond, the singer guitar player for Gabriel Loreen.
Yeah.
He's in a band called Local Nomad now.
Okay.
They're very good. They had like a minor viral thing with a song called The Karens.
Okay. Okay.
Um, but he told me in an email or a text like 2 or 3 months ago that he was reworking some Gabriel songs.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't get like excited. I was just like, I'll see it when I see it.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the same without Dylan, but
Right.
uh, I'm sure it's going to be phenomenal. We'll see what happens. So yeah,
Yeah.
keep your eye out for Local Nomad.
For sure. Yeah. Local nomad. Everybody, make sure you
Yeah.
go check them out. Was there a band then? Like I said, put Gabriel and Machine on the side, but like there was so much talent, right, coming out of your area at that time. And was there anybody that just like that you like? So like I could say like there's this band from Scranton that like is better than any band, in my opinion, that got signed from Scranton, right? I can say that like, and they're just the one that people missed on. Was there anybody that people just missed on during that time, or even
Aside from
later?
Gabriel the
You know,
Marine,
aside from Gabriel and Marine, yeah.
I think people missed on Lights Resolve. I think people missed on them.
Do you think that had any? So I love Lights Resolve, right? Like I've always been. Do you think that had anything to do? Did they won a big contest, right? Do you think that kind of hurt
Yeah,
the image? Like maybe
it made them a
like
little jock rocky, or
right?
what are they kids were calling it, butt rock.
Yeah, a little. Yeah,
It gave them a little bit of a butt rock reputation. I think that probably hurt. And their manager was a total d-bag at the time, so that probably didn't help. But those kids are really sweet guys, and
they were awesome.
that's a real bum out that they didn't really blow. And then there's a band called there was a band called Tiger Riot. Had you ever
Okay,
heard of them?
did they have like a stand-up bass? Oh, I'm thinking of
Uh,
Tiger. I was thinking of Tiger Army. So
yeah,
yeah,
Tiger
Tiger
Riot.
Riot.
They were like, okay, so at the time that like Harvard was kind of like in circulation, there were two bands that the Enjoy the Ride record guys, Ross from Enjoy the Ride Records and Carl from Looney Tunes, Brookvale. We would like we kind of recording these two bands, Tiger Riot and Hotel of the Laughing Tree,
Okay.
and neither ever popped. But uh, I'd say there were some real jams between those bands. That it's a real shame that I mean, whatever. I could do this for hours. I could name
Right.
40
Right. Yeah.
bands.
Yeah.
Playing Dead and uh, Republic of Wolves and Sainthood Reps and Robbers
Oh,
and
Sainthood
what I mean?
Reps. I'm
Like,
with you at that. Yeah,
yeah,
I love Sainthood Reps.
so many bands that just took a swing and didn't connect.
So
I can't believe North Star didn't get big,
North
but I
Star,
mean
I forgot about. Yeah.
they're not a Long Island band, but they're like honorary Long Island guys.
Okay.
Like we this year's model met them in Huntsville and Birmingham, Alabama,
Okay.
and we immediately brought them back to Long Island. Like, everybody, take a look at this.
Yeah.
And the Taking Back Sunday guys fell in love with them and brought them on tour a bunch.
I was gonna say
That's a band.
that's why I remember them from.
Yeah, I can't. That's a band that I don't understand why they didn't blow up. But I listen to like a ton of new stuff, and every now and again I find like a band, and I'm like, oh, they're from Long Island. Oh wow. Like
Yeah,
there's a band that's blowing up on TikTok right now, Adam and the Metal Hawks.
they're awesome.
You know them?
Yeah, I do know them. They're in my For You all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They're Long Island.
Are they really? Okay.
Yeah, they're Long Island. And there's Asa.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I know
They're
them
from
as
Long
well.
Island.
Okay.
And
Okay.
oh man, I'm leaving out so many. I feel terrible. I'm leaving out so many
So
bands. There's
do you,
so many. I wish I was more in touch because there's everywhere you look, it's a they're from Long Island. Oh,
how does I never really got into the comedy world, right? Like I've done 2 comedy shows in my life. 3 if you count Asher Roth the rapper. That was kind of like a comedy show. But I did
Steve-O and Trailer Park Boys.
yeah, I did no, Steve Hofstetter.
Oh yeah, okay, cool, yeah.
Like ESPN like
Yeah.
at
I
the
know
time.
exactly who he is. Yeah.
And then I did Pasheen, he's like the metal guy. He's like the Sarah Silverman show guy. And he's like super into metal.
Oh, Brian Posehn.
Pashane, yeah, Brian Pashane, yeah, I did him.
Yeah.
Which both of like Steve Hofstetter commented to me or reached out to me and was like, get a venue, buy $300 worth of ads on ESPN radio,
Yeah.
and send them to my website. I'll do the rest. And he
Yeah,
sold out.
he's
Sold out the show.
Yeah, he's a different thing.
Right, exactly.
He just wants a black box. He'll take care of it.
Exactly. And that was like, cool, we'll do it. And then
Posehn, you probably have to promote the show.
It was tough. It was tough
Yeah.
until like I did a lot of research and like tapped into that like metal crowd. And then it was just like I just wasn't comedy. But how so when you're saying like you go on tour, like what does that look like? Is it anything like rock?
Yeah, I don't know how other people do it.
Right.
I don't. Mine look exactly like punk rock.
Okay, cool.
I call people I know. I sleep on couches. I play bars. I pass a hat for gas money. I get to the next city. I sell 7 inches and T-shirts, and I go to the next city. Like,
that's great. No, that's awesome.
I do it the same way I would have done it in 1998. Like I don't know another way.
So do you find that so like obviously like I've it seems like everybody that's been in the music scene, we've done everything, right? So I've tour managed bands and I've been out and you go into a new city and you're like 1 of 4 in a bill and it just like it sucks. Like do you find that like are comedy fans more receptive to new talent?
Well,
or I know they're rougher, right?
The shows are structured different.
Okay.
So when you're a punk rock band and you go play and you're 1 of 4, the crowd shows up 2, 3.
Right. They filter in, right?
Kids are sitting on the barricade, ignoring the first couple of bands. Comedy, it's an hour and a half. You have to buy 2 drinks. You know what I mean? Like you know what it is. You're not music. You're like, oh, I want to see Taking Back Sunday tonight at the Paramount. I'm going there now.
Right.
Comedy, you're like, oh, I'm gonna go to the comedy club.
And I want to laugh tonight.
Who's performing?
Yeah.
I never heard of him.
Mm-hmm.
The one guy says he was on Fox.
Right. Okay.
Like,
right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's more receptive then, to an extent.
Yeah. They wanna. Well, in general,
right.
If you go to a comedy club, you want to laugh.
Right.
In general.
So I never like I love comedy. I wouldn't say I'm like the biggest. I've been to a couple live comedy shows. I saw Anthony Jeselnik.
Yeah.
In Philadelphia, and
at the Punchline or at the theater?
No, it was a small little club, like
Helium?
Helium. Yeah, like you go down the ramp into it. I saw him.
Around the corner from Helium is one of the best sandwich places in the world. Well, in America that I've had.
Please disclose. I would love.
Do
you know the name of it, or?
I don't know the name, but I know it's a Primo's Hoagies.
Okay.
It's right around the corner. So it's basically like where Helium is.
Yeah.
It's the street behind it, but the same.
Okay. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yep.
They make their own bread, and it's like an Italian sub place, and it's
Okay.
just there's nothing fancy about it. It looks like it's been there for 500 years.
Love it. That's
The
perfect.
guy, it looks like the same guy has been working there the whole time. It's perfect.
So on the subject of hoagies, real quick, right? Well, do you call them a hoagie or a sub, first of all, or a grinder, or
And I
it
don't. I
doesn't matter?
mean, yeah, I don't
Okay.
care. I call
So
them. I call them. I'm putting them in my mouth.
right. So where I'm from, they're a hoagie, and now I've moved. I've since I live in central Pennsylvania now, Harrisburg,
Okay.
and they don't use a roll here for
What is?
hoagies or anything. They use pizza dough, right? So they like everywhere is like we make our own bread, but it's just pizza dough like that they form into like it's two pieces of pizza dough over your Italian hoagie or whatever. I hate it
I'll
because I
try it. I'll try it.
it's dry and kind of like so I don't like pizza, so that's like problem number one.
What?
But I haven't had pizza since 1992.
What?
So yeah, I got sick on it and can't go near it. It like turns my stomach to smell. But yeah, right. Weird fact number one. But
All right, this interview's over.
but it's just but the dough doesn't necessarily bother me. But on an Italian hoagie, I want like a ambrosia roll from like Philadelphia, right? Like the crispy on the outside, soft on the inside.
This place,
Sauce.
man. This
That's what
place
it is.
has that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. So like I struggle down here. I have to go. The only place I can get a hoagie or a sub or whatever you want to call it down here is I have to go to a Wegmans, which is like a grocery store.
How far are you from Altoona and Pittsburgh and all that stuff?
So Pittsburgh would be like 4 hours.
Mm,
Altoona would be like
three.
like three. Yeah, 3-ish. Shot down
Because
the turnpike.
so that's like the closest Primanti Brothers is like 3 hours away.
We have a Franti Brothers in the mall down here.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. Yeah, we have
Oh,
one in our mall. Yeah. So
all
I can
right.
get a
So
good sandwich.
get a
Yeah, good
sandwich in a
sandwich.
pinch.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, exactly. If we need to. Yeah,
We'll do the
it's
right
all
thing.
like it's sad like so like there's such a an ethnic like where Northeast PA is you're Italian or you're Irish or you're Polish or
Yeah.
down here it's like you're a white guy. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's no like there's no Italian restaurants. Whereas
It's
I grew up, I could throw a rock at an Italian restaurant from
yeah.
anywhere in my town, right? Like so I like Italian down here is Olive Garden. And
It's
like
just American working class, right? It's
exactly,
just
yeah, just blue collar. I guess it was steel at one point, but it's also
steel.
it's also
And
a
now it's tech. No, don't you guys have tech?
we have some tech coming in and lots of logistics. Like there's
Yeah.
warehouses everywhere for shipping,
Okay.
and it's the state capital, so it's a everybody's a transplant. Nobody's from here.
I remember performing in Latrobe,
Okay. Yeah.
and someone was like, "Ah, it's gonna be hicks. It's gonna be rednecks." And I'm not like I want everyone to think I'm funny, so
Yeah.
I don't do that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, so they're hicks. All right, so I look white trash. Like, let's go, let's get into it. You know what I mean? Dude, one of the smartest. Like, I have a lot of like subtleties, and like I try to be sometimes too clever for my own good. They got every joke. They didn't miss a thing. Like I was like, this is one of the best shows I've ever done.
Yeah.
I was like, and they looked the part.
Right.
Like big dudes, long hair,
Oh,
flannels.
sure. Yep.
And I'm like, all right, we're gonna get into it. And like
The
I have jokes, like I start by talking about what I look like, you know? And there I was like, I usually start with what I look like, but I could be running a mechanic shop with any of you guys. You know what I mean?
right. That's cool.
We should be fixing a motorcycle together.
Yeah. I've never
And
been.
like,
I've never
yeah,
been
they were just I was one of them.
into.
And
Yeah.
they were. And yeah, I found out it was like all tech stuff. It was like all like,
Yeah.
and no one went outside to smoke because
Right.
they're all like super like progressive minded. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, what are you guys talking about? That this is supposed to be.
Were you did everybody drink Rolling Rock? It's the Homer Rolling Rock.
It was all, dude. It was
Even
all
that.
craft beer, dude. It was
Oh,
all
crap beer. Nice.
It was all
good.
hipstery kind of. I was like, this is not what I was told it was gonna be.
Yeah. Rolling
This
Rock
is
sucks anyway.
I don't know.
But
I don't know. I don't know.
there was some huge and it's killing me because my buddy manages them now. You know Mark Woodbridge? It's like out of New York City. 921 Collective is like his management. He has these guys on his management. They were huge, a huge emo band from Latrobe, Pennsylvania. and it's gonna kill me that I can't. They were kind of like, I always thought they were a little more butt rocky than emo, but they like always toured with like Say Anything and bands like that. I can't put my finger on them to save my life. And he's gonna be mad at me if he listens to
Red
this.
Jumpsuit something.
Very similar sound wise, but that's not the name of the band. Let me look them up real quick. But they're from there, and there used to be a huge festival out in Latrobe. So the only time I was there, I went out. It was a Rolling Rock festival, and it was when they were trying to make Finch like a mainstream rock band for a little while there.
Stop trying to make Finch happen.
Right, exactly. And it was Finch was on tour with Disturbed, right? And it wasn't going well from what I understand. And I remember Finch played, and then I was there to see Finch because I loved Finch.
Yeah.
And Disturbed came up afterwards and was like, so now that pussy shit's over, it's time for some real rock, right? And the guy from Finch took his guitar like an axe and almost killed the guy, like got arrested.
I heard that story.
It was wild. It was like the craziest thing I ever saw in my life live. And just like an axe, like just chopped them down. Disturbed didn't play.
I heard that story. Oh
just
my God.
Almost killed them. It was.
Oh my God.
Was wild. I'm trying to find this band because I think you'll definitely know the name. I think when I say
we had some beef with
the Juliana Theory. They're like a
the Juliana Theory.
Yeah, they're from Latrobe.
Of course. Yeah, of course.
Yep.
Those guys were a little douchey sometimes. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But they were really good.
Yep.
The reason people thought they were douches is because they're very showy.
Yes. Yep.
Like the guitar player would like drop his pick and then kick it back to himself.
Yep.
It's like, nah, we don't need that.
Right.
The singer would have like that Britney Spears.
So they're a 2-piece now. And they're putting out new music. That like
I think my buddy, I think Enjoy the Ride put out some Juliana stuff. The guys from Sky Keep Falling put out some Juliana Theory stuff. They're good. They're fine. Yeah. They're good.
So when we were talking earlier, you had brought up a story.
Bad decisions, man.
If anybody tuned in from my Facebook status, particularly, I think we need to know about this.
It's such a small, insignificant story. It's so brief. My band, This Year's Model.
Mm-hmm.
We were on tour with this band called Saturday Supercade. Matt Rosenberg?
Yeah.
He was managing them or booking them or put out their record. Maybe he put out their record, right?
Okay.
He did Red Leader.
Yep.
He put out their record. So he's on tour with Saturday Supercade. We're on tour with them. I want to say this is Alabama or Mississippi, but not like the good Alabama or the good Mississippi. This is like middle of nowhere. This is a warehouse, a squatted warehouse. Where the vans are parked, there's bathroom tiles, not appliances. What do you call them? Like a sink, a tub.
Oh yeah, just like fixtures, like out in the yard. Yeah.
Just bathroom fixtures.
Lawn art.
Yeah. We go in the warehouse. You ever see Green Room?
The
movie Green Room?
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. I thought you said there was a green room.
No, there wasn't.
There wasn't a green room.
No.
I was like, well, that's nice.
It's very punk rock. We didn't expect one. We didn't get one. We walked in. It felt like the movie Green Room, where it was just like, everyone here is a white supremacist.
I'm not comfortable with this. Yeah.
That's not my cup of tea at all.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to go.
Yeah.
The Saturday Supercade guys, to their credit, they were like, that's not punk rock. Like, you're leaving? That's not punk. And I was like, you know what? Sorry. I can't. I'm not punk rock today. This is
right. Yeah, exactly.
I can't do it. They're like, all right, cool. No big deal. We'll see you tomorrow. All right. Thank you. Sorry, promoter. Sorry. No one's here to see us. It doesn't matter. We're not feeling this. And I'm not above stuff. I play squats. I'll play squat now. Like, These Enzymes played squats. I'll play squats. That's not what the issue was.
If you get a vibe, you get a vibe.
This was troubles a brewing. We bounce. We see Saturday Super Kid the next day. They're like, yo, good thing you left. Like right after we left, some dude picked up that bathroom sink and smashed it over another dude's head.
Oh my God.
Like splattering human parts all over.
Right. Wow.
And we're like, oh, and they're like, yeah, we left too. Like we
got out of there too, right?
Like wow. I think everyone left. I think the show was over at that point. We all we all left. That was all right, I'll tell the story, but I'm gonna leave out names. I'm gonna leave out
No, that's fine. Yeah, for sure. Protect the innocent.
I always confused these two bands. Butt rock bands.
Okay.
One was Shinedown. I'll say their name.
Yeah.
And I always confuse them with this other band.
Fair.
The other band, turns out they were nice guys or whatever. I don't know. I never met them. Mm-hmm. We were on Soundwave one year and like a ton of Long Island representation. This Is Hell, Motion City Soundtrack guys all had Long Island crew. The band that I was with, Long Island, us. I think maybe there was another Long Island band on that tour. I'm not placing it now. A very deep Long Island contingent. One of Motion City's drum tech, Jason Tribute from not Circa Survive. Jason Tribute is in what band? Doesn't matter. Jason is Motion City's drum tech. Mm-hmm. He's at a party, and the Shinedown guy is like, oh, kept calling him a wet puppy. You're like, oh, you're a wet little puppy. You're a wet puppy, and like really like bullying. Jason bounces, comes back to the hotel. He's like, oh, F those Shinedown guys, blah blah. And we're like, yo, let's handle it. Let's go.
Yeah. Right.
Let's go talk to these dudes. So we go, they're on stage. We like wait for them to get off stage the next day. Their merch girl is from Long Island also. And she comes over and she's like, guys, relax, knock it off. First of all, no one wants to get kicked off this tour. Just 4 more days, whatever. Just let it go. She's the voice of reason. Nothing happens. 2 years later, I'm in Vegas with Brian Diaz. He's guitar teching for Guns N' Roses.
Okay.
And they're doing that residency at the Hard Rock. So they're in one room, and in the small room is the band I always confuse for Shinedown.
Okay.
So I'm like, yo, Diaz, what's the name of that band that we wanted to fight in Australia?
Yeah.
So I think they're playing the other room. He's like, I think they're called whatever. I can't remember. And I send a text to Jason, but I don't talk to him that often. So, it wasn't an immediate response. So I go over and I'm looking to see like, maybe I see the girl that I know from Long Island. I'm looking and, the singer and another guy come out. And I'm not proud of this. I have since changed my ways. I lay the dude out. And I say to him, who's a puppy now? Who's a puppy now? Then Jason texts me back at Shinedown, and I'm like, oh, that was the wrong band. So I tell this story 3 years later. I tell this story. And then the person I'm telling it to goes, yo, that band is such nice guys, dude. Like, I can't believe you did that. Like, that's probably never happened to them. I'm going to text that dude right now. Text the dude. I'm like, yeah, tell him I'm sorry, whatever. Text the dude. The dude's like, I have no idea what you're talking about, but I think the band that opened for us, yeah. So
You
it
had a
was the
lead singer
wrong
get knocked out.
band. It was the wrong band, and it was the wrong band.
Oh man, that guy to this day is probably just like, what did I do to a puppy?
Yo,
What did I
that
do to a
yeah.
fucking puppy? Like that's be so confusing.
But I remember one time, like I don't know, that stuff happens.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because I
I mean,
remember one
we've
time
all been there.
I was at the Fireside Bowl. I was guitar teching for rival schools, and a dude came in and clocked me and
Oh
took
yeah.
off running. And then I was like, "What was that for?" And then the kid who knew the kid was like, "Last time, and this is the last time you guys were in town, one of you slept with his girlfriend." So last time a different band.
Right.
yeah,
So he slept with his girlfriend and he
it turned
snuck
out
somebody.
it turned out one of those Sons of Abraham's guys
Right.
made
Oh
out with
wow.
this student's girlfriend. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
So yeah, so this guy happened, and he probably knocked out some other dude.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, somebody else got the brunt of
Pay
it.
it
That's
pay it
funny.
forward. You pay it
Exactly.
forward.
Yeah. Some people buy the Dunkin' Donuts person
Yeah,
coffee.
yeah,
Some people
yeah.
get slugged. Exactly. Different worlds.
Yeah.
It happens.
Guy slugged me. A couple years later, I'm
Yeah.
slugging some guy right now.
Oh, that's great. Well, hey, I want to say thank you so much for coming on, especially on short notice.
Thank you, man.
If
This
you
was fun.
ever
This is
want to
very
come
fun.
back, always welcome.
Yeah,
Love it.
man.
Appreciate it.
This was a lot of fun. Thank you. Send me all the
Thank you.
links. I'll
For sure.
share and
Absolutely.
all
I'll
the
put.
stuff.
Hey, I'll put some up on TikTok. I'll shoot you the files if you want to cut anything up.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
more than welcome to. So, I'm trying to learn TikTok more. So I work in digital media, so I'm trying to learn it more for like how to use
For
it for
work.
like for my work. So like I mess around with it a little bit, just like I'll try things to see how it works. I haven't figured out except for I learned that you don't talk about that like
First,
that
first rule of Fight Club:
no that I
don't
like
talk about the algorithm.
no yeah definitely don't talk about the algorithm, but that Morgan Weiland racist guy, the country guy.
Oh,
I like,
yeah.
I didn't have my coffee yet, and some kid put that like it was in my For You page did something. I like stitched him, and I was like, well, it's probably because he's a racist or something like that. That's the most reaction I ever got. All the Morgan Weiland people came for my head, and they're all
Yeah.
like young children who have no like.
No clue.
Look, it's just
Yeah.
like 14-year-olds coming for your head with no
14-year-olds
like
get mad, dude. They get
yeah, and
so
they have no
mad.
like shut off valve of like what the real world is, so they're just coming for the
Yeah.
jugular. So I was like, "You're a grown ass man with a beard. Shut up." It's like,
I'm like,
okay,
oh,
all
sorry.
right, yeah, I'm in. I got
Like,
it.
you probably used the crying laughing emoji. I'm like, what? Yeah, probably. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly, right.
I know that wasn't cool yet.
Yeah, but guys, thank you so much for
Thank you.
tuning in, and hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Neil, your handles one more time, so if anybody wants to follow along, they
Neil
can.
Rubenstein on IG. It's Neil Rubenstein on TikTok. Neil Rubenstein Comedy. Google it. It'll come up everywhere. NeilRubenstein.com. All the links. Neil Rubenstein. That's it.